Cash rules everything around me. Y'all heard it. But the money plug would say that credit rules everything around me. Yeah, that's the new cliche for us. So make sure y'all get rid of that cash and get y'all some credit. Let's go. And y'all may be wondering who the money plug is, but y'all gonna find out today, because today and this entire month is National Credit Education Month. And it's also Women's History Month. So we gotta make history by showcasing women who are doing just that. And what I'm gonna do first is start with the word of the day, which is coming from Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Okay? And that's coming from Proverbs 22, 7. At the end of the day, we can become slaves to lenders when we don't utilize good debt, okay, when we're utilizing bad debt, and we don't want to do that. So therefore, I'm going to introduce y'all to someone who's on every single platform possible, trying to educate people, especially the Black community, on how to deal with their finances and how to level up their credit.
But I got the podcast, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere you guys are and your children are, so that I can educate you all before it even gets to the point where you need to hire someone like me. There's no reason that people like me should be millionaires. I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you. There's no reason for it. If we put the information out there, then there won't be any more credit repair millionaires. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a hater. Get your money. But I just really feel like this is one of those industries that America has created just because they're greedy. Let's be real.
Let's be real, y'all. And without further ado, I'm gonna introduce y'all to my guest, Markia B, aka the Money Plug.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. That's so funny. I remembered that clip.
Like, I loved it. I'm like, I had to extract that from your live and make sure to play that for everybody so they can see how genuine you are about trying to teach our community where we're lacking at. So shout out to you for that. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you. And we're gonna get started with these questions. So I hope you're ready.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
First question, y'all. Let's go. What or who motivated you to become a credit repair specialist?
To be honest, it was myself. So kind of like a little background on me. I was active duty military for a total of 10 years, but in that 10 years, I had a gap. I got out in 2014. I was like, I'm never going back. I'm tired of it. I got out. I thought I was grown. I joined the Army straight out of high school, so I didn't really have any experience in what we call the real world, right? So I got out and I was struggling. When I transitioned out of the military, I was going through a really nasty divorce. I was a single parent to 2 kids. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer at the time. So like, I'm trying to help my family out. So it was like any savings that I did have was gone quick. So I started using my credit cards, and then I couldn't pay my bills because I couldn't find a job. I was overqualified for everything. So it was just like, life was just killing me and my credit was tore up. And it wasn't until I went to apply for an apartment for me and my kids, and they gave me the little, how you get the little slip of paper with your credit score on it, and it was like 444. And she was like, you cannot come stay here. And so I was like really shocked. And my mother started introducing me to these credit repair groups. And I have ADHD. And so one of the, I guess you could call it a symptom, is hyper focus, right? I hyper focus on things. And so once I was introduced to credit literacy, I was obsessed with it. I was reading books. I was sitting in on workshops, going to classes, paying for courses. I just needed to know everything about this so that I could teach my kids so they didn't end up like me, because I have girls. Well, I just had my son recently, but I had girls at the time. So I was like, I don't want them to be dependent on some man somewhere to take care of them. So I got to know everything it is. So I eventually ended up getting back in the Army. And because I had a better handle on my finances, this time around, I was doing a lot better. My husband and I was doing military, but with, we had 4 kids at the time. That money don't stretch too far. So everybody was like, but y'all got 2 cars and y'all paying all, because we paid a lot of money in daycare at the time. So it's like, how are y'all still, like, we don't have no kids and we're struggling? Like, explain it to me. Right. So I started giving classes. I started, like, I would meet people on their lunch breaks. I would sit and talk to people after work. I would sit with their credit card statements and stuff, and I was mapping stuff out. Then when I ended up retiring in 2019, I had nothing to do, nothing but time on my hands. So people were still calling me, asking for advice. And one guy paid me, and he was like, yo, people would really pay you for this. And I was like, for real? So then I started doing research, and that was when I got certified. I got my bond, I registered my business, and I launched officially in 2021.
Nice. Awesome. I love that story. I love it. It's like from rags on the way to riches. Exactly.
Okay, on the way.
Yes, that's right. Claim it. Amen. So that's good. People saw your story as a way to say, hey, how are you doing it? If you can do it, they can do it too. I'm glad you're able to use that knowledge as a knowledge transfer to other people to see them succeed as well. We got to help our community. It wasn't like you were stingy with what you had and say, oh, y'all can do it on your own. That's what I had to do. But no, you use that as a resource. I love to see it. And shout out to everybody tuned in as well. I see you, Adriana, and I see you, girl, Kay, as well. And you said retired. You look my age, 25.
I am. I did. I turned 29 on Sunday. So
awesome. Happy belated birthday to
Thank you. It's my last year of my 20s. But so I medically retired from the military in 2019.
Awesome. Okay, with that, I want to ask you let's talk about debt. Let's talk about it. People don't like to hear that term, but I'm wondering, should we think bad when we hear debt? Should we have that mindset? Or can debt really help us succeed?
This is a really good question, and I'm so glad you asked me this, because whenever, especially us, when we hear debt, we instantly think, I don't want to owe nobody no money. Like, I think that's the first thing I hear when I'm talking to people about things like credit cards and loans. Debt in and of itself is not a bad thing. And I always use the same analogy when I talk about credit cards and stuff like that. A credit card sitting on the table isn't going to hurt anybody. I always kind of attribute it to a gun. A gun on the table won't hurt anybody. But if you put a dangerous weapon in the hands of somebody who don't know what they're doing, that's when it becomes dangerous. And it's the same thing with debt. When you have debt and you have no idea how to manage your money, how are you going to be able to manage someone else's money? And so when you apply that concept to debt, that means that there are good debt and then there are bad debt. So you need to be able to differentiate between the two, but that all comes with educating yourselves. A lot of people get intimidated when it comes to finances because, their parents didn't know and their grandparents didn't know. So they don't know, and they think that that's okay because they're comfortable in it. The unknown is a very scary thing, and people find solace in comfort. But the thing about it is the times are changing. The times are changing rapidly. The economy is changing rapidly. And so the things that our parents and our grandparents have passed down to us, though they help them survive, they're going to be holding us back. Yes. And so you really have to start doing the internet is everywhere. You have literally the power to launch a rocket in your pocket. Like, there's no reason you don't have the knowledge. Debt can help you if used properly. You just got to know and do the research.
Yes, that's right. So speaking of debts, what are some bad debt examples that you have, some good debt examples? Because some people don't know the difference.
Bad debt is debt that is not helping you get to whatever your goal is. So, for example, a lot of people join these credit repair groups and they see somebody posting all these credit cards. You'll see the people with the giant stack of credit cards and they'll think to themselves, I need that. And so they'll start applying for everything they can get their hands on. That is considered bad debt because there's no purpose. The cards that you're getting serve no purpose. Everything in life has a purpose. And so that should apply to your credit cards. Your credit cards should be a stepping stone on the way to whatever the goal you set for yourself. So a home, a car, if you have a numerical credit score, that's your goal. Your cards should help you get there. Good debt is things that's going to improve your lifestyle. So let's say a car. For some people, getting a car opens up so many doors for them. They can go to school, they can get better jobs. You know what I'm saying? So a car can be considered good debt. Credit cards are actually really, really good debt when used properly. So this means only getting credit cards that you're actually going to use because they're only beneficial to you if you're actually using them. Assign a purpose to your credit cards. If this credit card gives you cash back for groceries, then that's what this credit card is for. If this credit card gives you cash back for gas, then that's what this credit card is for. This is our examples of good debt. But, I really feel like that answer is different for everybody. But it all starts with sitting down and identifying what are your goals financially.
Yes. And we don't even plan our goals out. That's the thing. We're living day by day with no mission, right? And until we get that mission, we're not going to know why we're spending this on this card, why we're spending that on that card, or why we have these different loans. Because people think that a car is an asset, but in reality, it's a liability. But it can be used for good when, it's used for your credit report, your credit history. Right.
I think what the most damaging thing that I've heard, and I've talked about this on TikTok a couple of times, something that I hear in predominantly minority spaces, right, is that they were taught that credit cards are for emergencies only. And that worked for my mom and that worked for my grandma. And they bought their homes back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And so I'm going to continue to do so. And what I always tell people is, I'm not saying your mama wrong, but I'm saying that does not apply to the time that we live in. Like you said, the concept of owing somebody for us is so strange and so like we don't like it. But the reason why is because, you know, for most Black people, our families weren't even introduced to things like credit cards and loans and things like that until 1974 when they passed the Civil Rights Act. So we're way behind the curve when it comes to financial literacy. And so back then for them, you also have to understand the times they were living in. They didn't trust any of the systems that were out there because all of the systems were designed for us to fail. They were designed to oppress us, and we didn't have the knowledge capable to manipulate that system to work for us. Right. So of course they're not going to use these credit cards until they absolutely positively have to. Yeah. But the way that the credit system is structured now, that's not the case anymore. But we have to be willing to kind of shed those stereotypes. We have to be able to shed those things that we learned because, yes, that helped them survive. But again, that's just going to be holding us back.
Yes, that's right. Because we have to reshape our mindset. Like you said, we're late to the game. But just because we're slow towards that finish line doesn't mean that we can't make it there. We just got to reshape our mindsets and get away from, like you said, some of the traditions. Some traditions we can keep. Only ones that's helping us and not keeping us further away from our goals. I totally agree. And that leads me to my next question about our community is that although race does not play a factor in the credit score, I'm wondering, why do you think the Black community has lower credit scores compared to others? Is it just because of that lag in time?
It's not just that. A lot plays into the lack of financial literacy in Black spaces. And this is what I'm so passionate about. This is why I'm constantly on social media putting this content out. So things like redlining, and for those of you who don't know what that is when they change the zoning and how certain communities are. Things like redlining play a part in banks. If you things like food deserts, if you live in a food desert, 9 times out of 10, you live in an impoverished neighborhood. And, you know, I know for the Black community, I know how y'all like to tussle. I know y'all hear impoverished, poverty, low income, and y'all want to fight. But the truth of the matter is a lot of the majority, and this is a statistic, the majority of those living at or below the poverty line are in fact Black. And the reason why we remain under the poverty line is because we don't have access to the same resources that other communities do. We don't have banks coming into the schools and actually teaching us about finances. Banks will come and fund sports programs. Banks will come into the schools and donate to, music programs, but nobody's teaching us about money. And so we grow up in a school system that was always designed for us to fail. You know, the prison pipeline is a real thing. Oh, yeah. And so they don't give us these things that allow us to grow past where they want us to be. And I feel like it's really up to those of us who have this knowledge, who have this education. I really feel like we are then tasked with making sure we reach back to help others. That's right. That whole village mindset, I don't know where it went over the years, but we really have to get back to it because we have to take care of each other.
That's right. It does take a village. You're right. That's what my friend Candace is saying. Exactly. I don't know what happened, but we got to get back on it. Okay. And then my cousin King Haney said college loans are bad debt.
You know what's so crazy? They are not. Student loans are actually probably the best thing that could happen to a lot of your credit profiles if they are kept in a positive status. And what I mean by that is student loans is considered long-term debt. So debt that's going to take you a while to pay off. Now, the thing about debt is that 35% of your credit score is on-time payment history. If you get a student loan your freshman year of college, right? Then you stay all 4 years. That's 4 years of deferred payments. Then let's say you go get your master's. And then that's another, number 2, 3 years, maybe. So then that's, 6 years of on-time payments technically because all your payments were deferred. Now, paying it off, is something in and of itself, a whole different beast. But that 6 years of on-time payment history is the very thing that could get you at 850 because you don't have not one missed payment. No late payments. You pay, technically it reflects as if you paid on time because you have no payment owed. Then when you graduate, if you get on an income-based repayment plan, a lot of your payments are $15, $20. And yes, the number is staggering, but the history when it comes to college loans is the most valuable part.
Okay. So, hey, King Handy, I hope you heard that. I hope everybody else is listening with student loans hears that, because another thing is that my cousin was asking about student loans and he was saying he just graduated, but he has high interest rates, I think, on these loans. He's wondering, should he defer them? Because he's just getting out of school.
Yes. If you have that option, take it. If you not making enough money to keep up with your payments, contact your loan servicer. Don't just be ducking and dodging these people. There are a lot of programs out there. There are a
Yes.
lot of programs out there for you guys that could help you lower your monthly payments, get rid of your monthly payments. There's programs out there, for example, if you're a public servant, they have they amended the program that they had to write off the majority of your student loans. You just have to make one-time payments for a couple of months. I think it's like 120 months. After that, they will completely forgive your student loans depending on who you work for. So there are a lot of programs out there that could really benefit you. You just have to be willing to communicate with your loan servicer.
Yeah, so now we've learned, like I said, some college loans are good because of the fact is, like you said, that payment history. Make sure y'all listening. I'm giving out prizes. Markia's giving out a prize as well. So listen up to this conversation because we're going to be asking some questions, and I hope y'all paying attention, taking y'all notes. So remember, 35% of the credit score is based off of payment history. So listen to that because we're going to be talking about that credit score equation. Next question. So let's talk about credit and somebody who's just getting started, maybe just out of high school. They're wondering how can they establish some credit if he or she does not have any right now? What can they do to get started?
So the biggest thing is I'll always look to the parents. The parents can really set the tone for their children. For example, I homeschool my kids. I have 5 kids. I homeschool my kids. They're all 10 and under. I introduced the concept of credit without necessarily tying it to money. So for my kids, it's all about screen time. We're a big tech household. I know you see the headphones,
yes,
I got the different game systems. Yes. And you know, one of my jobs in the military was I was a cryptologic warfare technician for a little bit.
Really?
So I'm into computers and stuff like that. And so naturally,
me too, not
my
to
children
interrupt,
are.
but I'm a software engineer, so I love computers.
Yes. So like my kids are big. My kids have laptops, iPads, cell phones, you know, that sort of thing. So we're real big on screen time. So for my children, if you don't, you know, they're assigned a certain amount of screen time a day. Once 9 o'clock hit, that's it. Now you do have the option to borrow screen time, but that's going to require more of a sacrifice from you. So you're going to have to do additional chores. Now, if you make this agreement to do additional chores and you don't do it, then you're going to lose hours with your screen time. So instead of getting 10 hours, you'll get 9 hours for a week, all because you missed that payment. And if you can keep doing it, if you keep not doing your chores, then your screen time will go lower and lower and lower until you don't have any, and which is the same concept with credit. And so by introducing this concept to my children early, this allows them to understand the principle behind debt, behind credit, behind, you know, credit cards and the obligation of, you know, honoring these agreements that you make with people. So, you know, it's very important that you educate your children first before they even have the opportunity to build that credit. You want them to really understand the seriousness of that decision and that responsibility. Now, as a parent, you also, you know, you want to give your kids a leg up. You know, even if you didn't have it, you want better for your children. So one way that parents can help their kids get, you know, develop good credit is by putting your child on as an authorized user for your credit card. Now, this only works if you have 100% on-time payment history and consistently low reporting credit utilization. And your credit utilization is how much of your available credit are you using on this card. So if you have those things, and it's depending on the company. I think Capital One goes as low as 13, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off, but you can contact the company to see what the age requirement is, and you can add your child on. Now, adding them on as an authorized user is not the same thing as opening an account in their name. What you're doing is you're just giving them access to your line of credit. This means that your child has no financial obligation to the credit card. If anything happens to the account, you know, knock on wood, something happens to you and all of your debts are amassed, your children will not be held responsible for that particular debt. Now, again, if you have late payments, if you consistently have high balances, this is not something that I would suggest for you. I would say maybe get a separate card and maybe do it with that separate card if the card that you have does not have that history attached to it. But adding your child on as an authorized user is probably the number one way to help your child establish credit prior to them graduating high school. Now, let's say your child's 18 or your child's in college or, you know, grown. Or maybe you're one of those who are immigrants. I see this a lot with people who immigrate to the United States. They don't have credit where they're from, so they really don't even understand how to get started. The biggest thing you need to understand is that you have to use credit to get credit. So secured credit cards. I know a lot of people be like, I don't do secured cards. Those balances are low. I'm not putting no deposit down, but you got to get what you got to get. You know, I get that you want the Amex and you want the no limit credit cards, but you have to start somewhere. And and a lot of people need to humble themselves. You walking around here and your credit score matches shoe size. You can't be out here thinking you about to just be balling out with a gold card. That's not how it works. So just making sure to I think acceptance is the biggest thing. Accept where you are, set a goal for where you want to be, and then start making your way towards that. So secured credit cards, prepaid credit cards are also a good idea. Some personal favorites of mine are the Extra card. It operates like a debit card. This is how prepaid cards work. You put a balance on the card, so you put money on the card, and that's your credit limit. It does not report credit utilization, but it will report on-time payment history, which is how much of your credit score?
Right, y'all need to know
35% of your credit score. So it's very important, that you add accounts that are going to report. Another little tidbit, if you are a parent and your child is living with you, what I would suggest is you go down to the Office Depot and you get them to print you off a copy of like a rental agreement. You get your child to sign that rental agreement saying they're giving you X amount of money every month. Have your child Zelle you that money from their main bank account every single month. Or even if you do money orders, they'll have that transaction on their bank account. Now, what's going to happen is you can sign up for rent reporting. Rent reporting what it means is they will report your rent payments to your credit to help build that on-time payment history, because it's 35% of your credit score. Like I'm telling you, this is a huge stomp hint right here. I prefer Boom reporting because they report to all 3 credit bureaus, and they use Plaid, which is a secure system that connects to your bank account to track your transactions to verify that you're paying your rent on time. And they'll report those on-time payments for you. That's another little life hack that I tell everybody. And if you're in the, you're eventually wanting to buy a home, this can actually help if you're looking to get like an FHA loan. I always get tongue tied. If you're looking for that type of loan, this can actually help you towards that goal. But there's, I did that for my son and now his FICO is over 760. I'm telling you, there's so many little tips and things out there, little accounts. I think my favorite of all time is Self. If you are a parent out there and you don't get nothing from this, sign your child that is 18 or older up for Self. The Self Credit Builder program, it appears as a loan on your credit report. When you go onto the website, you pick how much you want to pay and for how long, up to 24 months, and you'll make that payment every month. And every month, it'll report that on-time payment history on your credit report. However, once you're done paying the loan, if you pay it off early or at the end of your term length, what ends up happening is you get a direct deposit or a paper check in the amount of the money that you actually paid into the program. Because instead of a loan, you're actually paying into a certificate of deposit. And so it's like a savings account. I love doing this for my seniors in high school. I always tell my parents, like, listen, this is perfect for them because you sign them up for this. They pay all that stuff off. All you have to do is make 3 on-time payments and have at least $100 paid into the program, and you qualify for the Self credit card. So it's like you got this loan history, and now you even got your first little credit card. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because even though, signing them up as an authorized user is a huge thing, but when it comes to going out in the world and establishing creditworthiness, lenders want to see that you are financially responsible for accounts that you have an obligation towards. You can't build an 850 solid credit profile on just being an authorized user. So it's definitely important that you get them their own accounts as well. But just not until you feel as though they're ready to really handle that responsibility.
Yes. And then shout out to my cousin Nadia. She's like, off topic, did you two plan it the same color? I was like, I didn't even notice that we was over here playing with the colors. This is not the first time this has happened on my show. So it's just, it's a good experience to see that. Dope. Didn't even plan that though. Then I was like, what? But that's awesome. Yes. So y'all know now when you have children that you can help them establish credit early. Let's build that generational wealth. And this is just one of the ways we can do it by establishing credit early. Okay. Like while we're paying for them to have this and that. And I love the fact that with the tech time for you as a mother, what you're doing is making sure your children aren't overusing their technology. You're using it for a purpose to learn while they're doing it. Not just throwing it to them and leave them in the corner and say, use this. No, you're saying, I'm going to let you use this, but you're going to be learning while you're doing it. I love it. And if all parents could do that, we have productive kids in this world. They know why they're being privileged enough to receive this tablet, this phone, this whatever. So I love that. And then you were talking about secured card, and then I also have heard of unsecured credit card. So can you tell me the difference between the two?
Yes. So they both operate exactly the same. It's a credit card. The only difference is that a secured credit card means that we don't necessarily trust you yet. So as an act of good faith, you give me some money, I'm going to hold on to it. This is going to be your credit limit. That way, if you do default on this credit card, technically I got my money out of it. You don't owe me nothing, girl. Have a good day. Like, we just not going to do business with you no more. Whereas an unsecured card, that business is really putting their neck on the line. Like they're really risking some money because they believe in you and believe in your ability to pay your bills. A lot of people hear secure card and think, oh girl, that's broke stuff. I'm not broke. You are. So you are. Humble yourself. Because if that's all you qualify for, that's all you qualify for. I think a lot of people are in denial. They think that, and I tell people all the time, I really want to get rid of the stigma of bad credit. Yes. Having poor credit does not make you a poor person. Having bad credit does not make you a bad person. Yes. It just means that you did not have the education to handle the responsibility of credit when you started. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not born knowing how to drive. You sit down and you educate yourself, and then you make better decisions. If you have bad credit, you know how to fix it, and you continue to sit in that makes you a bad person. But not if you made some mistakes and kind of ended up here.
Right. That's right. We all have to learn. And it's about the adjustment, like you said, over the course of a period of time. Now, if you, like you said, you sit in it, that's a different thing. But you recognize that you're in the wrong. And like you said, humble. That's the key word of everything when it comes to credit. Humble yourself, because it's going to be a process. It's not overnight either, because it's a whole equation. But what I want to know is that when it comes to credit repair, is it best when you have terrible credit to try to repair this? Or should you just swallow that pride, file for bankruptcy, and hope for the best there?
Okay, because I get this question
want to know this
all the time. Like, and I've known people who are 21 and already filed bankruptcy. Like, no, baby, you haven't even experienced debt yet. Like, people think that bankruptcy is like a get out of jail free card and don't really understand the ramifications really associated with a decision like that. They just see it as a fresh start. And for some people, it can be. Okay. But what I always tell people is what you need to do is you have to sit down with yourself. And for a lot of people, you owe a couple $1,000s in credit card debt and you think that this is the end of the world. You're never going to be able to get out of this, and a bankruptcy will solve all my problems. But it won't, because you never tackled the mindset that got you into bad debt in the first place. You think that filing for bankruptcy and erasing your debt and starting over is going to change your future, but you're still doing the same behaviors. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you never tackle the mindset that led you to filing bankruptcy, you're going to be in the exact same place in just a couple of years. I always tell people to try and repair their credit first. Worst comes to worst, then you can file bankruptcy. But I always tell you to exhaust every other option before you get to that point, because bankruptcy has far, far more consequences than a lot of people understand.
Okay. So a bankruptcy, where do you start from? One of the lowest credit scores? Like, what happens in this process?
So it's not even necessarily that you're starting from one of the lowest credit scores. It's more so now, it's like wearing that scarlet letter. Now you got a scarlet letter on your chest telling all the lenders, look at me, I don't pay my bills. Hey, look at me, I don't pay my bills, and they had to bail me out. And so then when you're rebuilding after filing, it's so hard. You don't qualify for anything. You can't get an apartment because they don't work for people who are in a bankruptcy. Because when you file for bankruptcy, depending on which bankruptcy you file, so if it's a Chapter 7, that Chapter 7 is going to stay on your credit report for 10 years.
For 10 years.
So for 10 years, people are going to be able to see that you mismanaged your money. If it's a Chapter 13, then they'll be able to see it for 7 years. And with a Chapter 13, if you are actively in your Chapter 13 and you're still making your payments, it's almost impossible sometimes to get accounts because they're still looking at you crazy. You haven't paid off all your debts yet. So, like I said, it's not necessarily that you're starting off from the lowest score, but your credit report is the only way that people have to get to know you. It's not like you're interviewing every time you fill out these applications. Right. And so if they see you have all these charged off accounts and a bankruptcy, they're going to be like, yeah, no, thank you. Or you're going to have you're going to have an astronomically high interest rate because they don't trust you. This is a horrible way to start a relationship off. Yeah. That's not impossible. There are people who can rebuild successfully after a bankruptcy, but it's a very arduous process. It's not like a overnight success. You don't wake up with a 750.
Right. So it's like a final end all be all. Like, after you've exhausted all your options, then possibly head towards that way. Because like you said, sometimes it's good to see that somebody who has terrible credit can rebuild and start paying their bills off, take that responsibility as well. So there are options depending on where you are in life. But like you said, at 21, I don't see that being a good start already. Like, why are you doing that? You're just getting started. Come on now, you have time. So if you do have bad credit, are there any ways to raise it higher than the traditional approach of paying it? Because we know that the payment history is 35% of the score. But let's say about the rest of that score. What can we do to raise it
Okay,
other
so
than
let's
just
talk
payment
about how
history.
your credit score is calculated. First of all, there are two main types of credit scoring models. There's
Listen
the
up,
Vantage
y'all.
scoring model, and then there's your FICO scoring model. Now, with Vantage Score 3.0, a lot of lenders aren't using that. This is the Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Smart Credit. This is what you see when you log into that. That score, it's important to know because some lenders still use it, but it's not necessarily like the standard, right? It's not the gold standard. Now, FICO is a completely different beast. With FICO, there are multiple scores within the FICO scoring model. There's your FICO base score, which is typically your FICO 8 or your FICO 9. And then there's your FICO mortgage scores, which is your FICO 2, FICO 4, and FICO 5. There's your FICO auto score, your FICO credit card score. So they provide a base score as well as industry-specific scores depending on what it is you're applying for at the time. Now, how these scores are calculated is based on your credit profile or your consumer report, credit report, whatever you want to call it. All of the information that is on your credit report is used to determine your credit score. What a lot of people don't understand is why we talk about these things separately, your credit score and your credit report. That's because the items on your credit report affect your score. But there are times when, regardless of your score, an item on your credit report can get you instantly denied. For example, a bankruptcy. Even if you have a 750, if you still have a bankruptcy reporting on your credit, people can and will deny you simply because you still have that bankruptcy. Or let's say you have an 800, and I had a guy who literally paid me to look at his credit because he had an 800 credit score, but went to apply for stuff and got denied and could not figure out why. He had too many inquiries in a 12-month time period. He opened up too many accounts in a year. So, there are things that affect your credit worthiness that won't necessarily affect your score. So it's very important to understand that as well. Now, your credit score is broken up into sections. 35% is your on-time payment history, which we've covered. 30% is your overall credit utilization. So out of all of your lines of credit and credit cards, all of your available credit added together. So if you have 3 credit cards at $1,000 a piece, that's $3,000 of overall credit usage, right? That's how much you have to use. How much of that are you using? If you do a lot of internet research, a lot of people will say 30% is what you're supposed to use. But I always tell people, if you don't have a 750 credit score, that number needs to be as low as possible. The ideal zone is less than 10%.
Right,
that is going to maximize the points that's available in that section. That's 30% of your credit score right there, your credit utilization by itself. That's why I say that credit cards are actually very valuable, because this is the section that is the easiest to manipulate. It's nothing for me to just put money on it immediately. Go ahead and lower my credit utilization, and then it reports. You see what I'm saying? It's the easiest way to recapture some of those points. So if you're out there and you're struggling trying to get these last 10 points or these last 5 points, look at your credit utilization. Do your credit cards have high balances? Pay them all the way down. You do not want to have a 0% credit utilization. That signals to lenders that you don't need their services, because you don't need it, because you're not going to use it. So you want to be very careful with 0% utilization, but you definitely want to make sure you keep that number as low as possible. 15% of your credit score is the length of credit history. So how long have you been building credit? This is probably the most ignored section when it comes to people looking at their credit report. They don't understand why it's been 2 years and they still haven't hit 800. It's because your accounts are considered young.
Yes.
A mature account your account isn't considered mature until it's about 4 years old.
Yes,
that's when an account is considered mature. So a lot of people don't understand that time plays a huge part in the credit building or rebuilding process. And then the last 20%, 10% is going to be a mix of accounts. So how many installment loans do you have? How many lines of credit do you have? How many credit cards do you have? You always want to maintain a good balance. And then the last 10% is inquiries. Inquiries are 10% of your credit score. You should not have 30,000 inquiries on your credit report. Remember, I said a little bit earlier, you want to, at the maximum, you want to have about 5 inquiries in a 12-month time period. That's now 7 is really the max, but I always say 5 to give you that little bit of wiggle room. But that's in a 12-month time period. And there are some lenders who actually impose their own sanctions. And for example, Chase has the 524 rule. If you open up more than 5 credit cards in a 24-month time period, they will deny you if you apply for a Chase card. And a lot of people don't know that. But that's something that's outside of what the regular requirements are. That's something that they've set for their business. Right. So, it's very important that you understand how your credit score is calculated, so that you can look at your credit report and see what on your credit report is affecting your score. You'll be able to break your credit report down in sections and be like, well, my balances over here are high. So if I pay all my balances down, that's going to be maximizing the points in this section. Right. Okay, let me look at the length of credit history. All of my accounts are pretty young. I'm going to see if my mom can add me on to one of her credit cards that she's had for 20 years. I got a lot of inquiries on here. Let me see if I can clean these up a little bit. The less is more with inquiries, but they expect you to have some because they expect you to open up new accounts. So, once you understand how your credit score is calculated, you'll be able to really break down your credit report. Because like I tell everybody, there's no one size fits all when it comes to credit repair. So what worked for somebody else may not work for you. You have to be able to read your credit report, most importantly, and to be able to understand it enough to identify what is costing me points here. Where can I maximize my potential?
Yes, I love that because it's all about the credit score as a whole. It's like all these different pieces. We've already told y'all 35% goes towards payment history. Then 30% goes to the utilization, right? Okay. Then after that,
15% is length of account history.
Length of account, right. So we know that when we have a length of account that's only, like you said, 2 years old, that's not really old at all. It's still a baby. And then you want to make sure there's at least 4 years to be considered mature, at least. So we got 35, we got 30, we got 10. And then
that was 15.
15. Okay. 35, 30, 15. Now we got 10.
Now 10% is mix of accounts. So to give people a visualization, I tell people that the average person with good credit at all times has at least 3 credit cards, 1 short-term loan, and 1 long-term loan reporting at all times. That's not to say to go out and open all of these accounts at once, but that is something that you should kind of work your way towards. That's the baseline. That's your starting point. Once you have these things reporting, you can add or take away or whatever, depending on whatever your goals are. But at the very least, that is what you should have because you need to have a good mix of accounts on your credit profile.
Yeah, so that answers that question right there. Leave 3 lines, right? That's what you're saying.
So honestly, that's the baseline. But like I said, you want to open up accounts that are beneficial for you. So for some people, they may have more credit cards simply because each credit card has one specific purpose. And so, because that credit card has one specific purpose, but their spending history is a little, they spend a little bit different, it's a little bit everywhere. They have credit cards that are assigned to those everywhere expenditures. So then there are people who have student loans. So then you don't need a long-term loan. So you don't need a car loan. You can pay for a cash card. However, you don't have a long-term loan, then maybe getting a little small car loan might be in your best, benefit. If you don't have a short-term loan, self-lender, self-credit builder loan is considered a short-term loan. A short-term loan is an installment loan that has a term length of 2 years or less. So that's like furniture leasing. If you get a place and you're looking to rent furniture or, like rent to own or financing for like rooms to go and stuff like that, make sure they report to all 3 credit bureaus because you can hook yourself up with a new trade line on your account. Little stuff like that. That just pushes you towards your goals. There's no set amount. Like the government has not come out and said, you need this right here to have an 850. But you do what works for you and your spending habits and your lifestyle. That's what the important thing is. Evaluate your lifestyle and then curtail your credit experience to that.
That's right. So when it comes to these credit score jumps, let's say that someone's at a 500. They're trying to get to a 650 and somebody else is at a 650 trying to get to an 800. Which one is a quicker process in that 150 range jump that they have to get to?
To be honest, the higher you go, the harder it is to get points. And so you'll have people who are stuck in the 700s and cannot crack that 800. But they got from 500 to 675 quick. But, the higher you go, because then that's when time really becomes more of a factor because you can have all the accounts in the world, but if they're only 2 years old, girl, you finna be sitting in the 6s for a while. Like, you might as well get comfy. Come sit with me, child, because you're going to be here for a while. So the higher you go, the harder it is to really find points kind of like laying around. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
So when you first get started, y'all listen to that you can have quicker jumps than you would. It'd be, leaps at that point. But then when it gets to that 650 to 800, it's like, baby steps, even though, like you said, because you have all these credit lines open, but they don't have the maturity that they need to get you up there. So it's possible, but you're going to have to wait for a little bit, be a little patient. And that's what we tend to not do when it comes to credit. We want it overnight, but no, you might be getting scammed by somebody trying to do something so quick. It shouldn't be a rush. So that's another thing. And then if you have something in collections, will it help you to pay that off? Do you chop that up as a loss?
I'm so glad you asked me this. You're asking me some good questions.
Yeah, I got some good questions from people. They've been helping me out. So
listen, there's a lot of, especially on TikTok. TikTok is my main platform. And so a series that I started is, I started 2 playlists, Debunking Credit Myths and How to Catch a Credit Guru. And so many videos on TikTok will have you to believe that you should not be paying things in collections, that it's illegal for companies to sell your account to a collection company. Like, for example, medical debt. I've seen so many videos saying that medical debt is illegal because it violates HIPAA. None of that is true. Now, are there instances in which a medical debt in collection violates HIPAA? Yes. But that is not inherently true. Every medical account that goes to collections is not a violation. Every debt that is sold to a collection company was not done illegally. Again, this is where discernment comes in. Every piece of advice won't apply to your situation. You have to take what you need, leave what you don't. So when it comes to collections specifically, how you pay those collections will play a part in how many points, or if you even get points back from that debt. The reason you lose points is because an account was placed in collections. It has nothing to do with the amount. So if you have an account in collections and you just outright pay it, it's not going to give you any points. You're not going to lose any points, but you're not going to get any points either because you lost points for having the collection, not the amount that was in collections. Now, when you do have a collection, if you're willing to pay it, something that you should look into is something known as a pay to delete. This is where you offer either the full amount or a portion of the amount that you owe, and in exchange, the creditor will stop reporting to the credit bureaus. So the account will be removed, and since the account is no longer in collections, you'll get those points back. Unfortunately, you're kind of at the mercy of the creditor. If they say they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it, and you have no other choice. However, not paying collections can have disastrous effects. You can be sued, and a lot of times when you're sued, they don't have your most recent contact information. So when they send you the notification that you're going to court, it goes to an old address. You never get it. You don't show up in court. So what happens? The business gets something known as an order of default. This means that whatever they asked for, they're about to get from the court. This is how a lot of people end up with wage garnishments and then have no idea what the wage garnishment was for. It's because you never showed up in court. So I typically tell people, if you have collections that you don't plan on paying no time soon, because I get it. Look, I ain't had no money neither. So I get it. If you have debt in collections, you're going to want to constantly check your state's court website to see if your name pops up on a docket somewhere. You want to constantly check your email, check your mail, open it up. It's not like they're going to see if you open up your mail. Open it up and see what these people are saying to you, because it is a high possibility that they could want to sue you after that. I always suggest settling. If all else fails, settle. If you can't dispute it off, they're not willing to do a pay to delete, pay it off. I would rather pay it and be done with it and don't have to worry about it popping up later in life and being an inconvenience, and just move forward. I think the biggest misconception is that everybody thinks you have to have a squeaky clean credit score, because all they see on social media is people saying, I don't have nothing in collections. I don't pay collections. I don't pay charge-offs. I'm this, I'm that. And I got this Maybach, and I got this Rolls Royce, and I got that. And they see that image and they want that, and they internalize that. And so you listen, and this is why I am myself on social media. You're not going to catch me in front of no Mercedes Benz. I drive a Honda Odyssey, y'all. I got way too many kids for a Benz. I live in military housing because they don't charge me no rent. So I'm going to stay here. You feel what I'm saying? I'm a realist. I want people to see that real people can have good credit too. It's not just for the people who want to get rich. It's for the people who just want to get by. Regular people can repair their credit. Regular people deserve good credit, even if we can't afford to pay somebody to do it for us. And so, that is why I'm so passionate about the content I put out, making sure it's the right information, making sure that I dispel a lot of the rumors, making sure listen, that is wrong. Do not listen to this person specifically because this piece of information is not accurate. I make sure to put that out there so that they have at least one person out there who's telling them the truth, kind of taking off the rose gold glasses. Like, look, this is what it is. This is what it ain't.
No filter.
Exactly.
Yes, I love it. It's the humbleness. I said that this whole time because it is. Like, just because you have a good credit score doesn't mean you have to flaunt all this on social media to impress who? We should be trying to impress one person, but, at the end of the day, we try to impress everybody else and they don't care. Okay?
Exactly.
So that's it. So, again, pay it off, people, if you can. Pay it off because that's important. I do see some comments in here as well. Let's see. And Candace said, never knew. So, yes, we learning something new today. I'm telling y'all, this is so important for our community. The earlier we start, the better off we'll be. Yes. And now it's time. It's a certain time of the show, and it's called prize time, y'all. And what I'm going to do is let my guest ask y'all 2 questions, right? Well, I'm going to have her actually ask 3 questions. She's going to come up with 3 questions for y'all. I'm giving away 2 prizes. She's giving away another prize. So that means that each person who answers the question right first wins a prize. And I'm going to tell y'all what those prizes are first before we get into the questions. All right, let me do this by sharing my screen. So the money plug is Markia. Markia is the money plug. So what I want to do is tell y'all about a product she has that I purchased 2 of these. I'm going to give away 2. She's giving away something as well. And what this is a DIY credit repair kit. What this kit consists of is a lot of things. I'm actually going to have Markia, once she comes back, I'm going to have her quickly tell us a little bit about what this credit repair kit is. So let us know what the credit repair kit entails.
So this kit has over 20 letters in it. This is every letter that you'll need if you just have regular credit repair troubles, charge-offs, repossessions, medical debt, late payments, things like that. So this is like the ultimate credit repair kit. This will not help you if you have a bankruptcy, because bankruptcy is a completely different beast. You don't handle those the same way. However, this will literally help you. These are letters that I've used for my clients, so I know they work when used properly. And there's also instructions on when to send which letter, so you're not really confused.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's the credit repair kit. 2 people are going to be blessed with that today. So hope y'all ready for these questions. Get yourselves in the chat if y'all not already, because it's time for questions. And I'm going to hand it over to my girl, Markia, a.k.a. the Money Plug, to ask y'all some questions based off of what y'all learned and should have been listening up to, because we told y'all to listen. So get ready for the questions, and we about to give y'all some prizes. Let's go.
What is the percentage that your credit utilization should report under in order to maximize the points you get out of that section?
Put y'all answers in the chat. Y'all heard the first question. Credit utilization, what is that percentage? I'm waiting for these chats to pop up. I know y'all coming. Type it in. I know y'all type faster than that. Let's see who's gonna be the first winner. Do, 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 do. I see someone who said 35%. I see somebody who said 25%. So no, y'all ain't listening. Let's see. So credit utilization, and don't y'all be leaving this live. Stay on this live.
Stay on this live. The money plug is 25%. Come back.
Right. So we so far we've seen 35. So far we've seen 25. What percentage of your credit score?
There's a certain percentage that your credit utilization needs to report under. There, if you Google, you'll see one thing, but what is the percentage I told you that you need to have your credit utilization reporting less than in order for you to be maximizing the amount of points available in that section?
I think I see an answer.
Yes!
10%. Shout out to my girl Candace. 10%. Right. Yes. So congratulations, girl. I'm be hitting you up because you are going to be receiving one of the complete credit repair kits to get your credit together, girl. You leveling up your credit this year. Amen. So yes, 10% is what your credit utilization should be based off of all your credit cards or credit lines that you have open. Shout out to you, girl. Yes. Yay. It's a celebration. I'm telling you. So that's the first prize. All right, y'all. Get ready to type up the second answer as Markia gives y'all the question right now.
Okay. This is the question y'all all been waiting for. What's the percentage of your credit score that payment history is worth? I know y'all know
one more time. Repeat it one more time for the late ones.
What's the percentage that your payment history is worth as far as when it comes to your credit score? So how much of your credit score is payment history? I said it like 20 times. We
told you to listen up. So type them numbers in the chat. And if you already won some, you can't win some again. So everybody else, I got a fair chance. We got 2 more prizes. This is one more. Type y'all answers in the chat. What percentage of the credit score pie is for the payment history? Okay. I see an answer. Shout out to my mom with 35%. Yes. Great job, Mom. I see you. Get your credit repair kit. Yes. And then we have one more gift. Tell us, Markia, what this gift is going to be.
Okay. So, fun fact. So, I dropped my first physical book on Amazon in January. It's called Plug in This 2022. It is a workbook that I designed and put together. It's a monthly planner that will help you get your finances in order. And this book has gone through so many edits. Like, I think I'm on like the 12th edition on Amazon. However,
nice.
the original version of the book was never released. I literally have the only copy available. And this is a big book, y'all. This is over 1,000.
Wow.
Is this the 1,000-page one? Or this might be the 600-page one. But there are so many pages in here that there's a daily planner that you can go day by day. And it's not just, finance stuff. It talks about meal planning. I'm real big on affirmations. I feel like and manifestations, I really feel like you should be able to speak into life what you want. I'm really big on positive words. They really help you, get it together. And in the back, there's a credit goal planner. So you'll write your goal down. You can shade it when you get closer and closer and closer to your goal. There's also a derogatory account tracker in the back. This is where all of your collections or any account that you plan on repairing, you'll write it down, write what your end goal is, and you'll take notes on that account. So if you sent letters, if you've been in contact with somebody, you'll annotate it there so that it's all in one place for you to track. Again, this is literally the only copy of this book in existence. Period.
Wow. Nice, y'all. So this got to be a little difficult question. We giving y'all these numbers and stuff. We got to have y'all typing this time. Come on, y'all. We can't.
Okay.
So think about something difficult we can ask these folks. So see if y'all can get this one right. Anybody got a chance? All right.
When we were talking about mortgage scores, I gave you 3 scores specifically that are used to calculate your mortgage scores. What were the 3 scores that I told you are used to calculate your mortgage creditworthiness?
All right, I'm going to type that one up as well.
I'm telling you, I know it's a little harder. I know it's a little harder.
What 3 scores are used to determine your mortgage worthiness?
Creditworthiness, yes.
Mortgage creditworthiness. Okay. I'm going to type it in the chat as well so y'all can see it here and win this nice planner. That's huge. Like, y'all gotta see
it. Is. It's heavy too. It's heavy too. Like,
that's a whole textbook right there.
On it. Mm-hmm.
That's a whole textbook right there. I love it. Okay, y'all. Think. So we can get this away. If not, we're gonna be coming up with a second question. But I at least want to see y'all guesses.
I just want to see if they get this. If you really was paying attention.
Let's see. Think, y'all. Y'all got some time. Do. We'll play a short intermission. I'll be right back. Here we go. Okay, y'all. What y'all got? I said, what 3 scores are used to determine your mortgage creditworthiness? What are they? If not, let me know. I know I see 11 of y'all here. So, y'all, somebody gotta know something. Okay. Somebody gotta know something. We're gonna be waiting until y'all get it. If not, we come up with another question. But let me see. You know how to use a private chat? Do you know what a private chat is? Okay, Send me another question that you possibly have as well while they're thinking of their answers. Okay. And then in the meantime, I'm going to plug Markia's social media as well on the bottom here. So y'all can do that and follow her if y'all learned something today. All her platforms, as many platforms I could put on here. Her website, her TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Also, she's on YouTube. What would the Money Plug do? Okay? Yep. There we go. www. That's right. All right, y'all. So, did anybody have answers? Y'all can just say no if y'all don't have an answer yet. So, we can go to this next question, and then that's going to be...
It's a little easier. This one's a little easier.
This one should be. Yeah, this should definitely be easy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, y'all should get this one. So, since y'all in the chat and nobody's saying nothing, I'm going to put the second question up here, and let's see if y'all can get it. What are the 2 credit scoring models? There's 2 credit scoring models that Markia was talking about earlier in the show. And she was saying, one is used here, one is used there. So what are the 2 credit scoring models? Let me know. And you can win this final prize on today's episode. And if y'all not in the chat, then make sure y'all have the YouTube app or y'all on your computers. That's the only way y'all can answer these questions. Not in the comments. So it's almost time for somebody to win a prize. Come on, y'all. Let's go. It's still 10 of y'all.
I know y'all know this. Come on.
This is when I'm pulling out the background music. I got some. Here we go. Look, cause y'all, let me see, here we go. Let's see, daydreaming, okay. I'll play some background music while we wait on y'all.
I know y'all know this.
I know, come on now. One we've been talking about, one has been in the chat somewhere. Come on, y'all gotta figure it out. I'm trying to help y'all win a prize. You wanna get this credit up this year. Like, a lot of people have had goals for good credit this year. right? So with that being a goal, we want to make sure that we give y'all the resources y'all need. So let us know. Somebody type it in the chat. Okay, so I see an answer.
Yep, that's right.
That's
right.
Shout out to my cousin King Hanny on that. Thank you for coming through on the 2 types of credit scoring models. Shout out to y'all. On the 3 prize winners, let me give a shout out to them again real quick. Shout out to my girl Candace, who got our first question right. Shout out to you, girl. And shout out to my mom, who got the second question right as far as the percentage of the credit score when it comes to payment history. And shout out to my cousin, King Hanny, with the 2 types of credit score models, the FICO and the Vantage. Yes, y'all. So if y'all learned something today, make sure y'all go over to Markia's YouTube channel, because she's right now at 399 subscribers. So help her get to 400. Go over after the show to What Would the Money Plug Do YouTube channel. Follow her if you learned at least one thing today. I know I learned a lot, and I can't count how many I learned. So if y'all have learned something, make sure y'all go over to her channel. Yes, shout out to you, Candace, as well. And go support her, because this is a black woman who's doing it this entire month for National Credit Education Month. She's teaching us every single day of every year. So take advantage of this. Take advantage of her services. Go to her website, themoneyplug.co. But I'll be giving y'all prizes, so make sure y'all follow up with me. And we'll be having another episode next week. So I will be back on next week. Shout out to you, Markia, for taking time out. And I truly appreciate it. Any final last shout outs you want to give or anything?
Shout out to my mama.
Yes, that's right.
I just want to thank you so much for even considering me to be on the show. This is really cool. This is amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'll always look for every opportunity I can to get on and teach you guys something about credit. Right. If you learned anything, please leave me a review on Google. You can just Google the Money Plug LLC. You'll see me pop up. My locks are recognizable. So you'll see me pop up. Leave a review. Let me know how I'm doing. You know, I really try to tailor my content based on what you guys need. So if it's something that you need that I'm not providing, I don't know unless you tell me. Whatever you guys need, I'm here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out. There's no such thing as a stupid credit question. So just ask it all.
That's right. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on. I appreciate you giving us your expertise, like I said, for the free ball, but we're going to pay it forward. That's why I'm buying those credit repair kits for y'all, and she's giving away a book, and I'm going to make sure to give you the information. And yes, Candace said it was very informative. You've been working them afternoons, but you're glad you're able to catch a few. I'm so happy too. Yes, this is a good year, y'all. Let's get that money up. Let's level up our credit, because CREAM stands for Credit Rules Everything Around Me. We out, y'all. Until next week. Thanks, Markia. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. My outro is about to get started right about in a minute. Here we go. Let's go. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for being on the live. Yes, y'all got prizes tonight, so I hope y'all learned at least one thing. I'll be seeing y'all next week, because I do have another episode coming up for y'all. So credit rules everything around me. Yes, CREAM, get the credit card, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm out. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all next week on Chelsea's Live Line.